Is it possible to live forever? That's the central question of the Epic of Gilgamesh, one the king Gilgamesh ultimately answers by vowing to live on through his legacy and his deeds. About 2,000 years later, in the same cultural region, another king had a similar idea. In 669 BC, two brothers became kings. Shamash-shum-ukin ascended the throne of Babylonia in the south, but to him this honor was something of a snub. His younger brother Ashurbanipal had been their father's favorite, and it was Ashurbanipal who was chosen to lead the larger, more powerful kingdom of Assyria in the north. Ashurbanipal was only 16. The new king Ashurbanipal immediately turned his efforts to preserving his empire and his legacy. In an attempt to hold all of the world's knowledge at once, he ordered the creation of the world's oldest known organized library, in which he preserved copies of his own poetry and records, as well as a copy of the Epic of Gilgamesh. He also gained a reputation for being a particularly brutal and violent conqueror, even by the standards of the day, first in Egypt, then Elam, and then finally against his own brother in Babylonia. After a long, exhausting siege, Ashurbanipal and his army slaughtered the people of Babylon, killed Shamash-shum-ukin, and finally attempted to destroy images of Shamash-shum-ukin to erase his legacy. But after Ashurbanipal died, the survivors of the cities he once terrorized raised an army of their own and sacked Ashurbanipal's home city of Nineveh. Like Ashurbanipal's army in Babylon, they destroyed images of the old king, and in a final act of vengeance they burned his precious library to the ground. But in those days, important documents were written on clay, not paper. What happens to clay in a fire? It doesn't burn, it gets stronger. In their attempt to destroy the legacy of Ashurbanipal, the invaders preserved it forever. They sealed the memory of Ashurbanipal and Shamash-shum-ukin and Gilgamesh in these underground ruins, untouched for 2,000 years, until they were finally rediscovered and translated in the late 19th century. So, for better or worse, they all got their immortality in the end.